We'll turn to trade. Trade tensions with the U.S. remain a top concern for China. The country's Council for the Promotion of International Trade warning today that the U.S. has the highest risk for trade friction with China. They actually track this on an index, and they say it's at the highest level. Our next guest says if the two countries enter a trade war, there could be more pain than President-elect Trump is anticipating. Jeff Moon joins us now. China Moon Strategies founder and former assistant USTR for China. It's great to have you. So how do you expect this administration, this Trump 2.0, to be different than the last when it comes to a trade confrontation with China?
Well, I think that there are a number of things here. There's a possibility of some kind of a grand bargain even. The leadership on both sides is inclined to bargain. There's a lot of institutional memory there. There are key people that were in the first administration that are in the second, including the U.S. Trade Representative. A lot of the homework has been done in studying the Chinese economy, and they have lots to discuss. There's the 2020 Phase 1 agreement that China did not deliver on, including the $200 billion in purchases. There were also, during the last trade negotiations, a 150-page document that discussed industrial policies and other things that China disavowed that should be revisited. And I think that this is some time for creative thinking. You know, the Chinese have hinted that they may be willing to accept voluntary export restraints. But suppose, for example, if the U.S. says on the toughest issue, which is EVs, OK, we'll allow you to manufacture and sell EVs in the U.S. if you accept the same conditions that you imposed on American automakers when they opened for business in China. So, yes, the atmosphere is sour, but a lot of the infrastructure is in place, and there are some possibilities that should be explored.
I wonder if TikTok is going to be an early test of the Trump administration's appetite for confrontation. He's actually spoken well lately of TikTok, but is going to have to make this decision, right, about whether it's banned, sold. What do you think happens here?
Well, that's right. I mean, this may be the first concrete action in terms of trade that comes onto his desk. Now, we need to remember that Trump tried to ban TikTok in 2020, and then he changed his position in March of this year. But he said as recently as last Sunday that he favors allowing TikTok to keep operating in the U.S. for at least a little while. And meanwhile, the tell, I think, is that all of his recent comments have focused on the popularity TikTok brings him with the youth vote rather than the national security concerns about China accessing the personal data of children. So there are a couple of possibilities. The Supreme Court is going to hear the case for oral argument on January 10th and could issue an injunction. Under the statute, Trump could direct his attorney general, who has responsibility for enforcing the act, to pause enforcement temporarily or permanently. Trump could, within the meaning of the act, declare ByteDance has performed what's called a qualified divestiture, whether that's true or not. And then the last possibility is that Congress could repeal, which I think is very unlikely. But this was not the first battle, I think, that Trump wanted to choose to take on in his first administration.
Yeah. Well, long shot, I hope. Jeff, what happens if China invades Taiwan?
If China invades Taiwan, all bets are off, all business stops, have a massive implications for the stock market. That would eclipse everything that we're talking about in terms of the trade. Do you think they will?
Or is this just, they're just going to continue to make noise, but nothing will happen?
I don't think that they will. I think they will continue to be threatening. I think they will continue to sort of tighten the space which Taiwan operates politically and militarily, but I do not think that they're going to invade.
All right, Jeff, we appreciate you joining us with some of your predictions and expectations.